Commander Vexilon stared at the data streaming across the tactical display, his 4 pupils dilating in disbelief. What should have been a routine subjugation had turned into a strategic nightmare. Impossible, he whispered, mandibles clicking, in agitation. Rescan the sector. Lieutenant Mortha's tendrils pulsed nervously. Already done, Commander. 3 times. The readings are accurate. The Arxian Dominion had conquered 17 star systems without significant resistance. Their technological superiority had always guaranteed swift victory, until now. This backwater planet, designated only as Sol 3 in their charts, was supposed to be primitive. The intelligence suggested nuclear capabilities at best, limited, spaceflight, and no unified planetary defense. Yet somehow half of the Dominion's first wave lay in ruins. Show me, Vexilon commanded. The holographic display shifted to real-time footage from the surviving vessels. The humans, as they called themselves, had weaponry that shouldn't exist. Particle beams sliced through Arxian shields. Impossibly maneuverable aircraft danced around Dominion ships. And most disturbing of all, they were adapting their tactics with alarming speed. They've reverse-engineered our shield frequencies, Mortha reported, her voice barely audible. They're targeting our propulsion system systematically. Vexilon's crest flattened against his skull. The Dominion Council had assured him this would be a simple operation: harvest the planet's abundant resources, enslave the population, move on. Standard procedure. Yet these humans fought with a ferocity that defied comprehension. Pull back the remaining ships, he ordered. Establish orbit beyond their weapon range. Commander? Mortha's confusion was evident in her bioluminescent patterns. The Council isn't watching their fleet get decimated, Vexilon snapped. Execute the order. As the surviving ships retreated to a safer distance, alert signals blared across the command deck. Something was approaching, fast. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. It's from the humans. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a stern-faced human female. Her dark skin glistened with sweat, and her uniform bore insignia unfamiliar to their databases. This is Admiral Nishara Kalindi of Earth's United Defense Force, she declared, her voice steady and cold. You have exactly 1 standard rotation to remove your remaining vessels from our system. Any ship still present after that time will be considered hostile and destroyed. We will not issue further warnings. The transmission cut before Vexilon could respond. They think they can dictate terms to the Dominion? Lieutenant Mortha's tendrils writhed in indignation. Vexilon remained, silent, studying the tactical data. The humans had destroyed 43% of his invasion force in less than 6 hours. Their weapons shouldn't exist according to everything the Dominion knew about technological progression. And yet? Send a message to High Command, he finally said. Request immediate reinforcements. All available capital ships. And the humans, ultimatum? Vexilon's outer eyelids narrowed. We hold position. The Dominion does not retreat. 12 hours later, as Vexilon watched the approach of hundreds of small, agile Earth vessels on his tactical display, he began to wonder if perhaps the Dominion should learn. The first missile struck his command ship before he could complete the thought. The last thing Commander Vexilon saw before emergency stasis activated was the impossible. Humans, in boarding crafts, preparing to capture an Arxian destroyer. The Dominion had never lost a ship before. They were about to lose many more. And somewhere, in the vast darkness between stars, news of the failed invasion was already spreading. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Concord fell silent as the holographic projection faded. 7 species, representing the oldest civilizations in the known galaxy, sat in stunned disbelief. Elder Queernax, the Valeri representative whose species had achieved spaceflight 10,000 years before humans discovered fire, was the first to speak. This recording is authentic? The translators conveyed his melodic speech perfectly, though they couldn't quite capture the undertone of dread. Verified through multiple channels, confirmed diplomat Ashara, her crystalline form refracting light across the chamber floor. The Arxian Dominion's invasion force was decimated. The humans not only repelled them but captured 3 capital ships intact. The Tiberian representative, a massive entity composed of interwoven fungal structures, emanated spores that indicated extreme agitation. Impossible. The Arxians possess 5th-era technology. These humans were barely sending radio signals a century ago. Yet they prevailed, Ashara countered. And what's more troubling, they've begun dismantling the Arxian vessels. They're learning. The implications hung in the air like poison. Every species present understood what this meant. Technological progression followed predictable patterns across all known civilizations, centuries in each development era before advancing to the next. But these humans, how did they develop energy weapons capable of penetrating Arxian shields? Demanded the Mezarite ambassador, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. Our intelligence indicated they were still reliant on chemical propellants. Elder Quirnax's sensory tendrils coiled tightly. Because they were, until very recently. They've somehow compressed centuries of weapons development into decades. The Arxians have requested Concord intervention, Ashara noted. They're preparing. A second invasion fleet triple the size of the first. Madness, whispered the Tiberian. Utter madness. A new voice entered the conversation, Ambassador Zoraline, representing the reclusive Nathori, who rarely participated in Concord matters. Her translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that the translators struggled to interpret. We have been watching Earth for longer than the others, she said. The humans are unique. They do not develop technology as we do, incrementally, cautiously. They leap forward in chaotic bursts, driven by their conflicts. All the more reason to contain them, the Mezarite insisted. If they defeat the Arxians again, what's to stop them from becoming the new aggressors? Zoraline's inner light dimmed slightly. Perhaps we should consider another approach. The Arxians attacked unprovoked. The humans defended themselves. Are you suggesting diplomatic contact? Elder Quirnax seemed genuinely shocked. With a pre-conquered species? I am suggesting we learn more before we act, Zoraline replied. The humans captured Arxian ships rather than destroying them all, an act that requires planning, coordination, and remarkable restraint for a species under attack. As the council debated, a junior aide entered the chamber and delivered a data crystal to Ashara. The diplomat's crystalline form darkened as she absorbed its contents. Council members, she announced, her tone grave. I've just received confirmation. The humans have successfully breached the Arxian encryption protocols. They now have access to the Dominion's star charts, including the location of every major conquered world. Silence fell once more, heavier than before. We have 2 options, Elder Quirnax finally said. Contain this threat immediately with force if necessary, or extend formal recognition to humanity and bring them into the Concord. Recognition? The Mezarite's translator barely captured his incredulity. They're centuries away from qualifying. Perhaps our qualification metrics are flawed, Zoraline countered quietly. If our models failed to predict their capabilities, perhaps they failed to measure their readiness as well. As the council continued its heated debate, none noticed the small Earth probe that had been monitoring their transmissions from just outside the system, another impossibility, according to their understanding of human technology. The fate of galactic relations hung in the balance, while on Earth, humanity prepared for whatever might come next. Captain Rivika Okafor stood on the observation deck of the ESV Prometheus, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. Constructed using a hybrid of human ingenuity and salvaged Arxian technology, the ship represented humanity's great leap forward, a testament to adaptation under pressure. Approaching the designated coordinates, Captain, Lieutenant Dramali, reported from the navigation station. Dropping out of FTL in 3 minutes. Riveka nodded, her expression betraying none of the anxiety churning within her. 6 months after repelling the Arxian invasion, Earth had received its first diplomatic communication from something calling itself the Galactic Concord. The message had been simultaneously reassuring and alarming, an invitation to parley, but also a clear warning about unauthorized technological acceleration. Status of our escort? She asked. The Valkyrie and Shenzhen maintain formation, Commander Ikeda confirmed, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. All systems nominal. Our reverse-engineered shields are holding stable. Rebecca allowed. Herself a small smile. In the aftermath of the invasion, Earth's nations had achieved something unprecedented in human history, genuine, lasting cooperation. The United Earth Defense Force had formed from the combined military might of former rivals. Scientific knowledge flowed freely across borders. Humanity, facing an existential threat, had discovered its greatest strength: unity through adversity. Reading. Multiple large vessels at the rendezvous point, Lieutenant Dramali announced. Configuration unknown, definitely not Arxian. Yellow alert, Rebecca ordered calmly. Weapons on standby but emission controls in place. We're here to talk, not fight. The vast emptiness of space distorted momentarily before the Prometheus and its escorts emerged from faster-than-light travel. What greeted them stole the breath from Rebecca's lungs. 7 massive ships, each with entirely distinct architecture, hovered in perfect formation. One appeared to be constructed of living crystal. Another looked like interwoven strands of metallic vegetation. The variety boggled the mind. Clearly the vessels of entirely different species united under some common banner. Captain, the communications officer called. We're receiving a transmission. Multiple data formats. Our systems are adapting. On screen, Rebecca ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Vaguely humanoid but composed of translucent tissue with visible currents of luminescent energy flowing beneath its surface. When it spoke, its entire body pulsed with light patterns. Greetings, representatives of Earth, the alien said, its words translated through the communication system derived from Arxian technology. I am Ambassador Zoralin of the Nathori, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Concord's Contact Committee. Rebecca stepped forward. This is Captain Rebecca Okafor of the Earthship Prometheus. We come in peace, seeking understanding. A commendable goal, Zoralin replied, though not one shared by all members of the Concord. Your victory over the Arxian Dominion has created concerns. The Arxians attacked our world without provocation, Rebecca stated firmly. We defended ourselves as any sovereign species would. The issue is not your defense, Captain, but how you achieved it. Zoralin's luminescence shifted to deeper blues. Your technological development has followed patterns never before observed. It makes you unpredictable, Commander Ikeda muttered under his breath. That's rather the point. Rebecca shot him a warning glance before addressing Zoralin again. Ambassador, humanity has always advanced most rapidly when challenged. The Arxian invasion simply provided the ultimate challenge. Indeed. And therein lies both your greatest strength and what some consider your greatest danger. Zoralin's form pulsed thoughtfully. The Concord has existed for 12,000 of your years, maintaining balance between hundreds of spacefaring civilizations. Your emergence represents a significant disruption. We don't seek conflict, Rebecca assured her. Earth wants peaceful relations and fair trade, knowledge exchange, cultural understanding. Yet you arrive in warships, noted a new voice as another being appeared beside Zoralin, a massive entity with an exoskeleton and compound eyes. With weapons primed. Precautions, Rebecca countered smoothly. Given our only prior contact, with extraterrestrial life involved an invasion force. Reasonable, Zoralin conceded before her companion could respond. Captain Okafor, the Concord Council remains divided on how to proceed with Earth. Some advocate for immediate integration, others for containment. I have arranged this preliminary meeting to better understand your intentions. Rebecca straightened, her shoulders. Then let me be clear, Ambassador. Earth seeks recognition as a sovereign power. We will not submit to any form of containment or restriction. We are willing to learn your protocols and consider your counsel, but we will chart our own course among the stars. The insectoid being's mandibles clicked rapidly. The translation software struggled momentarily before rendering. Unacceptable arrogance. They must be respected, Counselor Vrez. Zorlin interrupted firmly. As we would respect any species capable of defending its sovereignty. As tensions mounted on the diplomatic channel, Lieutenant Dramali leaned toward Rebecca. Captain, she whispered urgently. Long-range sensors are detecting new signatures, multiple vessels entering the system. Configuration matches Arxian design. Rebecca's eyes hardened. It seems, Ambassador Zorlin, that our negotiations may have company. The Arxian warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel with predatory grace, their obsidian hulls absorbing the distant starlight. 17 capital ships, each bristling with weapons that could reduce a small moon to rubble. This is outrageous. Counselor Vrez's mandibles clacked furiously as the tactical display showed the Arxian fleet's approach. High Marshal Drexethal was explicitly forbidden from interfering with these negotiations. Ambassador Zoralin's luminescent patterns flashed in what Captain Rivika was beginning to recognize as agitation. It appears the Dominion has chosen to defy the Concord's directive. Aboard the Prometheus, Commander Ikeda monitored the tactical situation with growing concern. Captain, the Arxian fleet is deploying in an attack formation. They've raised shields and are charging weapons. Yellow alert to red, Rebecca ordered. Defensive pattern Delta. Lieutenant Dramali, plot an emergency. Jump vector if we need to extract. She turned back to the communication screen. Ambassador Zorlin, I believe your colleagues in the Dominion haven't accepted their defeat gracefully. Before Zorlin could respond, a new transmission cut across all channels. A reptilian figure appeared on screen, adorned with elaborate cybernetic augmentations and military insignia. I am High Marshal Drexthal of the Arxian Dominion, the figure announced, each word precisely measured. The presence of human vessels outside their containment zone constitutes a direct threat to galactic security. We demand their immediate surrender. The humans are here under conquered diplomatic protection, Zorlin countered, her form pulsing with intense light. Your presence violates 3 separate provisions of the Concord Charter. Drexethal's expression remained impassive. The Charter also prohibits intervention on behalf of pre-spacefaring civilizations that pose existential threats. The humans destroyed half our invasion fleet with technology they should not possess. They must be neutralized. Rebecca exchanged a glance with Commander Ikeda, whose hands hovered over the weapons controls. The 3 Earth vessels were badly outnumbered, and despite their technological leaps, they couldn't hope to defeat 17 Arxian capital ships. High Marshal, Rebecca interjected, her voice steady. Return to Arxian space. We have no quarrel with your people beyond your unprovoked attack on our world. We seek peaceful relations with the galactic community. Drexthal's vertical pupils narrowed. You speak of peace while your scientists dissect our ships. You speak of relations while you steal our technology. The Dominion does not negotiate with thieves and barbarians. Enough. A new voice joined the conversation as another figure appeared on the shared communication channel, a being composed of interwoven fungal structures that pulsed with bioluminescent spores. The conquered will not tolerate armed conflict during sanctioned diplomatic proceedings. Archon Mycelior, Drexthal acknowledged with visible reluctance. The Tiberian Collective has no jurisdiction over Dominion military operations. But the Conquered Council does, the fungal entity countered. And as current chair, I remind you that violations of diplomatic sanctity carry severe consequences, including potential expulsion from the Concord. A tense silence followed. The Arxian fleet maintained its position, but did not advance further. Aboard. The Prometheus Lieutenant Dramali suddenly straightened at her console. Captain, I'm detecting spatial distortions, multiple signatures approaching at extreme velocity. More Arxians? Rebecca asked. No, Dramali replied, her voice tinged with awe. The configurations are Earth vessels, ma'am, dozens of them. Rebecca's eyes widened as the tactical display updated. 53 Earth ships dropped out of FTL around their position. The newly commissioned Second Fleet, vessels that weren't supposed to be operational for another month. Admiral Kalindi's face appeared on a secure channel. Hope we're not interrupting, Captain Okafor. Earth intelligence detected unusual Arxian fleet movements and thought you might appreciate some company. Relief and pride washed over Rivika. Excellent timing, Admiral. On the diplomatic channel, the reactions were immediate. Counselor Vrez's mandibles clacked rapidly. Archon Myceliar's spores shifted to a surprised orange hue, and Ambassador Zoralin's luminescent patterns pulsed with what might have been amusement. Impossible, High Marshal Drexithal hissed. Earth cannot have constructed so many interstellar vessels in such a short time. Yet here we are, Admiral Kalindi responded, joining the communication.
The Earth Defense Fleet extends peaceful greetings to the Galactic Concord. We hope our arrival hasn't caused undue alarm. Archon Myceliar's spores shifted through a rainbow of colors before settling on a thoughtful blue. Admiral Kalindi, your
fleet's presence significantly alters the diplomatic context, as does the Arxian battle group. Kalindi countered smoothly. We merely sought to ensure balanced representation. The message was clear. Humanity would not be intimidated. The Earth vessels arranged themselves in a defensive formation that, Riveka noted with professional admiration, perfectly countered the Arxian deployment. Ambassador Zorlin broke the tense silence. Perhaps we should reconvene the diplomatic delegation aboard the Concord vessel Harmonious Exchange. All parties, with limited representatives only. As arrangements were made for the new diplomatic summit, Riveka could feel the shift in the galactic power dynamic. Humanity had arrived on the interstellar stage not as supplicants but as equals, ready to forge their path among the stars, whether the established powers approved or not. And throughout the galaxy, other species were already taking note. Tachiota, diplomatic chamber aboard the Harmonious Exchange hummed with barely contained tension. Captain Riveka Okafor sat at the circular negotiation table beside Admiral Kalindi, facing representatives from 7 major conquered species and the still fuming High Marshal Drexthal of the Arxian Dominion. This council session will now commence, announced Archon Myceliar, spores shifting to formal patterns. We gather to address the unprecedented situation regarding Earth's emergence into the interstellar community. High Marshal Drexithal's cybernetic word as he focused on the human delegates. There is nothing to discuss. These primitives stole Dominion technology and violated natural development protocols. They should be quarantined until they evolve proper societal constraints. Admiral Kalindi smiled thinly. Interesting perspective from the species that attempted to enslave our planet. Enslavement is a harsh characterization, Drexithal countered. We merely sought to integrate your world into the Dominion's resource network. Against our will, Riveka noted, which by any definition constitutes enslavement. Ambassador Zoralin's luminescent patterns pulsed in what Riveka was beginning to recognize as the Nothori equivalent of a diplomatic throat clearing. The historical context, while relevant, is not our primary concern. We must address the unprecedented nature of humanity's technological acceleration. Elder Quirnax, the ancient Valeri representative, leaned forward on multiple appendages. In 12,000 years of conquered history, no species has ever compressed multiple technological eras into such a compressed time frame. It defies all developmental models. Perhaps your models are flawed, Admiral Kalindi suggested. Humanity has always advanced most rapidly under pressure. The Arxian invasion simply provided existential pressure. That's precisely what concerns us, said a new voice, a crystalline being whose form refracted light in hypnotic patterns. Your species turns crisis into advancement at an alarming rate. The data suggests that within 2 decades, Earth technology could surpass current Concord standards. Riveka exchanged a glance with Admiral Kalindi. This assessment aligned with their own projections. And this troubles you? Riveka asked. Advancement should be celebrated, not feared. Unless that advancement is fundamentally destabilizing, countered Counselor Vrez, the insectoid representative. The Concord maintains peace through balanced progression, Uncontrolled acceleration by any single species threatens that balance. Admiral Kalindi's expression hardened. Let me be absolutely clear. Earth will not accept restrictions on our development. We did not ask to be thrust into this galactic community. The Arxians forced that upon us. We adapted to survive. High Marshal. Drexthal's scales flushed with color. And now you demand privileges that took other species millennia to earn. We demand nothing but the right to exist without interference, Kalindi shot back. A right your dominion violated. Archon mycelium released calming spores into the chamber's atmosphere. Perhaps we might consider a compromise. Earth, clearly, possesses the capacity for interstellar presence. Denying this reality serves no purpose. Ambassador Zorlin's form brightened. I propose provisional Concord recognition of Earth as an autonomous interstellar power, with observer status in the Council. Absolutely not. Drexithal slammed a cybernetic fist on the table. The Dominion lost any right to dictate terms when it attacked Earth without provocation. Elder Queernax interrupted, surprising everyone. The ancient Valeri rarely took such direct positions. Ambassador Zoralin's proposal has merit. As the council members debated, a junior aide hurried into the chamber and whispered urgently to Archon mycelium. The fungal entity's spores darkened dramatically. We must temporarily adjourn, the Archon announced. A situation requires immediate attention. The delegates were escorted to an observation deck overlooking vast windows that revealed the assembled fleets. In the distance, new spatial distortions heralded the arrival of more vessels. The Praxian hegemony, whispered Elder Queernax, sensory tendrils quivering. They never attend Concord functions. Next came ships of organic design pulsing with bioelectric energy. The Morrigan Collective, identified the crystalline delegate. They've been neutral for 2 centuries. More arrivals followed. Species and civilizations that, according to the shocked whispers of the Concord representatives, rarely engaged in galactic politics. What's happening? Rebecca asked Ambassador Zoralin, who stood nearby. History, Captain Okafor, the Nathori replied, her luminescence subdued. News of Earth's resistance against the Dominion has spread faster than we anticipated. These powers come to witness the outcome of our deliberations. Admiral Kalindi's eyes narrowed with sudden understanding. They're not just observers, are they? They're here because Earth demonstrated something important. Yes, Zorlin confirmed. You proved the domination of greater powers is not inevitable. Many species have suffered under Arxian expansion. They watch to see if the Concord will recognize your sovereignty, or bow to Dominion pressure. Rebecca studied the gathering of alien vessels. We've become a symbol. More than that, Zoralin replied. You've become a catalyst. The Concord has maintained a particular order for millennia. Your emergence challenges fundamental assumptions about technological development, species rights, and power distribution. High Marshal Drexthal stood rigidly nearby, his cybernetic implants pulsing with suppressed rage as he observed the growing assembly of ships. The balance is shifting, Admiral Kalindi noted quietly, whether anyone wanted it to or not. Indeed, agreed Elder Queernax, who had drifted closer. And now the Council must decide whether to embrace this change or resist it. As they watched more ships arrive, Riveka felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had only wanted to defend itself, to survive. Instead, they had inadvertently ignited a galactic paradigm shift, becoming not just participants in the cosmic order, but transformative agents within it. The question now was whether that transformation would lead to a new era of understanding, or conflict on a scale humanity had never imagined. The Grand Council chamber of the Harmonious Exchange had never housed so many diverse species simultaneously. Representatives from 27 civilizations now crowded the expanded diplomatic space far beyond the usual 7 Concord members. The atmosphere crackled with historic significance. Rebecca stood beside Admiral Kalindi as Archon mycelium called the unprecedented session to order. 3 days of intense negotiations had led to this moment, a full council vote on Earth's status in the galactic community. Before we proceed to formal recognition protocols, the Archon announced, bioluminescent spores creating intricate patterns. High Marshal Drexithal has requested the opportunity to address the assembly. A murmur rippled through the gathered representatives. The Arxian leader had been noticeably absent from the previous day's sessions, conferring instead with his fleet commanders. Drexithal strode to the central position, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming under the chamber's lights. For a moment he simply surveyed the assembled delegates, his reptilian features unreadable. The Arxian Dominion has stood as a pillar of galactic order for 7,000 years, he began, his voice modulated to carry perfectly throughout the chamber. We have brought structure to chaos, advancement to primitives, purpose to the directionless. Riveka noticed Admiral Kalindi's jaw tightening. When we discovered Earth, we saw what we have always seen, potential requiring guidance. We acted as we have always acted. Drexithal's vertical pupils fixed on the human delegation. We were wrong. A stunned silence fell over the chamber. The Dominion's assessment protocols failed to recognize what humans represent. Not merely an anomalous development pattern, but a fundamental challenge to our understanding of sentient evolution. Drexithal's cybernetic eye whirred as he adjusted his focus. My scientists have analyzed the data extensively. Humans possess a unique, adaptive capacity that defies categorization under existing models. Ambassador Zoralin's luminescence pulsed with surprise. High Marshal, are you suggesting— I am not suggesting, Ambassador. I am stating fact. Drexithal's scales shifted hue slightly. The Dominion withdraws its opposition to Earth's recognition. Furthermore, we formally acknowledge our aggression against their world as unwarranted and misguided. Admiral Kalindi leaned close to Riveka. Is this really happening? She whispered. Moreover, Drexithal continued, the Dominion proposes a mutual defense treaty with Earth, with technological exchange protocols to benefit both civilizations. Now the chamber erupted in astonished conversation. Counselor Vrez's mandibles clacked rapidly in what the translators rendered as unprecedented and suspicious. Elder Queernax rose from his position, sensory tendrils extended fully. High Marshal, this represents a complete reversal of the Dominion's position. What prompted this transformation? Drexthal's expression remained stoic. Survival, Elder. The same imperative that drove humanity's advancement. Our predictive models are clear. Resistance against human potential is futile. Better to align with their trajectory than oppose it. Pragmatic, if nothing else, Archon Mycelior noted, spores shifting thoughtfully. Riveka stepped forward. The Marshal's offer is unexpected, but Earth has no interest in dominion or control. We seek collaborative relationships, not subjugation, even of those who once sought to subjugate us. Noble sentiments, Drexthal replied. But make no mistake, Captain Okafor, I speak not from defeat but from recognition of inevitable outcomes. Humanity will transform this galaxy, whether intentionally or not. The Dominion chooses to evolve alongside you rather than perish opposing you. Admiral Kalindi joined Riveka. Then perhaps there's hope for genuine understanding, Marshal. Earth would welcome peaceful relations with all species, including the Arxians. Ambassador Zoraline moved to the center of the chamber, her luminescent form pulsing with formal patterns. Given these developments, I moved to proceed with the recognition vote. What followed was unprecedented in conquered history. Not only did the Council unanimously approve Earth's recognition as a sovereign interstellar power, but 17 previously non-aligned civilizations simultaneously requested formal diplomatic relations with humanity. As the historic session concluded, Riveka found herself approached by a being she hadn't previously met, a representative of the enigmatic Morrigan Collective. Your species has accomplished something remarkable, the entity communicated through patterns of bioelectric energy that the translators rendered into speech. You have rewritten the narrative of galactic power. That wasn't our intention, Riveka replied honestly. We simply defended our home. Yet in doing so, you demonstrated that established hierarchies are not immutable, that resistance is not futile. The entity's energy patterns shifted. Many civilizations have suffered silent subjugation, believing resistance impossible against technologically superior forces. You have given them hope. As Rebecca processed these words, Admiral Kalindi joined her with Ambassador Zoralan. It seems humanity has become rather popular, Kalindi observed dryly. Zoralan's luminescence formed patterns that the translators interpreted as amusement. More than you realize, Admiral. 12 species have already requested permission to establish embassies on Earth. And the Arxians? Rebecca asked. Do you believe their change of heart? Drexithal is many things, but never irrational, Zoralan replied. If the Dominion has chosen alliance over opposition, it is because their analyses truly showed no other viable path forward. Admiral Kalindi gazed out through the chamber's vast windows at the assembled fleets, the physical representation of a galactic order in transformation. So what happens now? Now, Zoralan's form pulsed with what seemed like genuine warmth. Humanity takes its place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as catalysts for a new era. As preparations began for Earth's formal introduction into the galactic community, news spread throughout the cosmos. On countless worlds, beings of all forms and physiologies learned of the small blue planet that had defied conventional wisdom. The species that had compressed millennia of development into mere months, that had defeated a superior invasion force, and that had transformed the balance of power without firing a shot. They learned of humanity, adaptable, resilient, defiant humanity, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the observation lounge of the Prometheus, Captain Rebecca Okafor watched the stars. Soon she would return to Earth as one of humanity's first official interstellar ambassadors. The responsibility weighed heavily but also filled her with profound determination. Beautiful, isn't it? Admiral Kalindi said, joining her at the viewport. Overwhelming, Rebecca admitted. A month ago we were focused on defending our planet. Now we're helping reshape galactic politics. That's humanity for you, Kalindi chuckled. We never do anything by half measures. She handed Rebecca a data tablet. The first draft of the Conquered Earth Accord. 53 civilizations have already signed on. Rebecca scanned the document, a framework for cooperation, mutual defense, cultural exchange, and technological collaboration across species barriers once thought insurmountable. They feared us, she mused. Then they respected us. Now they want to work with us. Fear and respect often precede understanding, noted Ambassador Zoralan, who had entered silently. But it is understanding that builds lasting peace. As the Prometheus prepared for its journey home, carrying news that would forever change humanity's perception of its place in the universe, Rebecca couldn't help but reflect on the irony. The Arxians had invaded Earth expecting easy conquest. Instead, they had inadvertently introduced humanity to the galactic stage, and humanity, true to form, had adapted, evolved, and transformed the very stage itself. The stars no longer seemed distant and unreachable. They were beacons, calling humanity to a future of unlimited potential, a future where Earth stood not alone, but as part of a greater cosmic community that was itself being reshaped by the very qualities that had allowed humanity to survive: adaptation, innovation, and unrelenting determination. In the darkness between worlds, a new era had begun. Epilogue. The ripple effect. 5 years after first contact, the Sol system was unrecognizable. A massive orbital ring encircled Earth, housing diplomatic enclaves from 46 different species. Towering structures of impossible architecture rose from what had once been barren lunar regolith, the Great Embassy, where representatives from across the galaxy gathered to learn from the species that had reshaped interstellar politics overnight. Fleet. Admiral Nishara Kalindi stood at the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's first true space city. Below her, the planet gleamed blue and beautiful, while around her, vessels of alien design moved in carefully coordinated patterns. Still hard to believe sometimes, isn't it? Asked Ambassador Rebecca Okafor, joining her at the viewport. Years, of diplomatic service had added silver streaks to her hair and depth to her gaze. That we went from fighting for survival to this? Kalindi gestured at the bustling interspecies commerce around them. Every single day. A holographic notification pulsed softly. The Concord Executive Council is ready for you both, announced the station's AI. They made their way to the central chamber, where representatives from the 12 most influential civilizations awaited. Elder Quirnax, now serving as Grand Archon of the reformed Concord, acknowledged their arrival with a respectful gesture of his sensory tendrils. Admiral Kalindi, Ambassador Okafor, the ancient Valeri greeted them. Thank you for joining us. The final reports from the Galactic Survey Initiative have arrived. Rebecca took her seat at the circular table, a position that would have been unthinkable for a primitive species just years earlier. And the findings? Ambassador Zoraline's luminescent form pulsed with what Rebecca had come to recognize as excitement. Transformative. The joint human-Nathori methodology has identified 17 previously unknown sentient species on the verge of developing interstellar capabilities. 17? Kalindi's eyebrows rose. Previous Concord surveys found only 2 such civilizations in the last century, because we were looking through a flawed lens, admitted High Consul Drexithal, the Arxian representative who had replaced Drexithal after his retirement. Human perception recognizes patterns of advancement that our traditional models dismissed. This was the true revolution, not merely humanity's place among the stars, but how humanity had transformed galactic understanding itself. The Human Perspective Initiative had become the Concord's most valuable program, applying Earth's unique adaptive thinking to problems that had confused other species for millennia. The emergence protocols are ready for implementation, continued Elder Quirnax. Instead of waiting for these civilizations to develop independently, or risking invasions like the one Earth experienced, we will offer them guided introduction to the galactic community. With their consent, Rebecca emphasized. This had been Earth's non-negotiable condition. No species would be forced into contact before they were ready, but neither would they be left vulnerable to exploitation. Of course, agreed the Tiberian representative, spores shifting in formal patterns. The Earth model will be followed precisely. The Earth model, perhaps humanity's greatest contribution to cosmic governance. The principles were simple but profound. Respect for sovereignty, technological self-determination, and mutual defense against aggressors. The days of powerful species subjugating lesser civilizations were ending. After the council session concluded, Rivika found herself back at the observation deck, watching a newly commissioned Earth vessel prepare for departure. The ESV Prometheus tug-dwarfed its predecessor, incorporating technologies from a dozen worlds while maintaining the distinctive human aesthetic that had become famous throughout the galaxy. They're calling it the Harbinger class, said a familiar voice. Rivika turned to see Lieutenant Dramali, now Captain Dramali of Earth's Diplomatic Corps, approaching with a data tablet. First of 15 vessels designed specifically for first contact missions. Appropriate, Rebecca noted. We're becoming what we needed when the Arxians arrived. Except we'll be introducing ourselves with handshakes instead of invasion fleets, Dramali replied with a smile. Across the station, dozens of species intermingled, trading, learning, collaborating. Arxian scientists worked alongside human engineers. Nathori philosophers engaged with Earth's greatest minds. Tiberian agricultural experts helped transform human farming practices while adopting Earth's genetic diversity principles. This was the true victory, not defeating the Arxians or earning conquered recognition, but creating something entirely new, a galactic community where strength came through cooperation rather than domination. Later that evening, as Earth rose over the lunar horizon, Admiral Kalindi raised a glass in the private chambers where she, Rebecca, and other key figures from the First Contact era had gathered. To the invasion that failed, she toasted, and the future it created. To humanity, added Ambassador Zorlin, her form glowing warmly, who taught the oldest civilizations that they still had much to learn. And to the stars, Rebecca concluded, gazing out at the vast expanse beyond the viewport, no longer distant and unreachable, but filled with possibilities, challenges, and new horizons to explore. In the great tapestry of cosmic history, Earth had entered as an unexpected thread and ended up reweaving the entire pattern, not through conquest or superiority, but through humanity's most defining characteristic, the relentless drive to adapt, overcome, and transform crisis into opportunity. Universe would never be the same, and humanity wouldn't have it any other way.